county governments. But in our culture, we normally say, don't fight me before you speak to me. So I took the liberty, Mr. Speaker, to go and engage with the chair of Finance and Budget of the Senate to be able to understand the reasoning behind them accepting to deviate from, number one, the 465 billion that this Senate had passed, and number two, from the position that we had taken in the agreement between the party of ODM and the UDA in terms of working together, which was to be able to send 450 billion into our counties. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that the chair shared with me is a reality that in most cases, even the money which is allocated to the national government, that money is only good on paper, but in reality, that money is never there. And what I can see from the mediated version is that the national government will keep about 2.3 trillion shillings, while the county governments will take about 415 billion. The reality is that in most cases, you will find that, Mr. Speaker, the money which is allocated to national government, it is only good on paper, but the reality is that it's followed by several supplementary budgets that are never met. This is the reason why, Mr. Speaker, we have so many unpaid bills, so many pending bills that are yet to be met. Mr. Speaker, if there's one person who is very happy today, it's me. I'm happy because of only one factor when it comes to the issue of budgeting for nation building. This is the only budget in the history of this parliament that has not factored in money from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. You know, I long for the time that we can be able to build our own source of revenue and free ourselves from shackles of the Bretton Woods Institutes. I'm one of those people who do not subscribe to their thinking at all. And I'm happy that this budget, the national government, has been able to go down by 200 billion, which they were expecting to get from the IMF. And I wish that IMF do not fund Kenya. It is about time that we learn on how to live within means. The issue of supplementary budgets is another big monster that one day this country will only grow and develop when we do away with supplementary budgets. You can have paper money, 2.3 trillion, but at the end of the financial year, you don't end up spending that money. You end up having pending bills that will end up killing some of the citizens of your country. Mr. Speaker, let me applaud the Mediation Committee team from the Senate for taking bold steps. Because, Mr. Speaker, I've been in this Senate now for about 7 years, and I can tell you that this is the single most increment of money that is allocated to county governments since I've been here within a year. I'm wondering, Mr. Speaker, why am I being given time? Thank you. I hope that was not intended. It was just a mistake. Mr. Speaker, getting 28 billion additional from 387 to go to counties is something which is commendable. During the last few years when we were there, when we voted 13 times to be able to agree on a basis of the third formula to share revenue between national government and between the county government, the only amount that we are able to move to is making sure that there is a base of 370 billion. On top of that, the maximum that we're able to get is an additional 17 billion within 5 years to 387. Now, we have moved from 387 to 415 billion. And the difference between the money which is being sent to the county government and the money which is only good on paper for the national government is that it is a reality. 415 billion shall be sent to county governments without undue delay and without any deductions. Now, if you compare apples to apples and you ask yourself, what happens to the 2.3 trillion that is being retained by the national government? The answer is actually in the Division of Revenue Bill, Section 5, where it says when there is a shortfall of any funds to be sent, of any revenue, it shall be borne by the national government. So county governments are guaranteed they will always get their 415 billion. But national government, you will find supplementary budget after supplementary budget, and at the end of the financial year, a lot of projects will not have been done. So this is a win-win for the counties. And these are things that we need to demystify to the citizens who contribute taxes to be able to raise this revenue. These are the facts that we need to be able to demystify for the Generation Z who are out there demanding for their rights, demanding for them to be counted. It is imperative that we now move these demands just from the national government perspective to the county governments. It is imperative that we now try, and this is why I keep on saying, Mr. Speaker, that the only time we will get it right as a nation is if we take that 415 billion that we said we're going to send to the county governments, engage the Gen Zs in constructing our roads, engage the Gen Zs in building our hospitals, in building our schools. If you go to Narok County, Mr. Speaker, Narok County is littered with trillion shillings worth of quarry stones that these Gen Zs can be able to go use and pave all the roads of Narok County. If you go to Kajiado County, Mr. Speaker, when I was growing up, there were floors which used to be made using terrazzo. And then at some point, we became slaves of importing tiles. All of us, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you seated there, your house is built of tiles. But did you know that Uganda, Tanzania, they import a lot of terrazzo from Kenya? I long for the day when we can say, let us put more taxes on the importations of tiles and all government buildings to go to Kajiado County and harvest the terrazzo and build the floors. Mr. Speaker, if you go to the United States of America, when you enter the airport, you'll find that the entire airport is made out of terrazzo. If you go to the UK, you will find that it's made out of terrazzo. But you go to your airport in Kenya, tiles, and they're all imported. So the day we begin to realign our own existing resources is the day we'll end up having a brighter future, even for the younger generations. If we could then say, because I observed, Mr. Speaker, the youth who are out on the streets the other day, 90% of them were jobless. These are youth who have graduated from high school. Their parents do not have money to take them to university. These are youths who have graduated from the university. They have no jobs. But if we could then look back and have a conversation within ourselves and be realistic, the way this committee on mediation, on the division of revenue, found themselves with no other option but to be realistic, that save for the money that is going to counties, the money which is being retained by the national government may not be reality. Is the day, Mr. Speaker, that we can be able to solve problems. We must be realistic to the fact that all these resources that we are raising locally, the resources that we are saying, the 28 billions that we are now saying, let's send them to counties. When I was engaging with the chair told me something which I thought was leadership. leadership. That it got to a point where he said, you know what? We are walking out of this mediation. And this, because the National Assembly had said, we cannot move beyond 409 billion. So when they walked, and he said, I will not reconvene. The minimum I want is 420. And the first thing that came to mind is that I remember I was seated here when the media was awash with news that the then governor of Mandera was pushing, funding people so that we make it difficult to ensure that their county does not lose money. When I sat down with him, he said, what we were fighting for at that time is to make sure that there's no county that has been left behind. When he refused to go back to the mediation committee until the money went up, what he said, even if I'm to go and sit and reconvene this meeting, the least I can be able to agree to is by making sure that small counties which have been left behind, West Pokot, I think is one of the small counties, Elgeyo Marakwet is another county, Vihiga County is another county, get affirmative action. So if you guys are not willing to increase money, out of the 4.49 billion that you're saying, that is the only thing you can do. The only way that I can sit here is by realizing that these small counties, and remember, Mr. Speaker, the chairperson is not from Elgeyo Marakwet. It's from a different county. He said, increase the money. Lucky enough, he came down to 415 billion, which took care of the 4.46 billion that was given as an affirmative action to smaller counties. That is leadership. And that is what we need to fight for. And that is the reality that we need to be talking about, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as I stand here today, I'm quite happy that the Senate, which is the House of Union, these good, distinguished men and women who went there to sit down to discuss, to defend the counties, ensured two things. One, that for a single year, the fund moved to 28 billion. That supported all our county. Mr. Speaker, as you can hear, my voice is not very good because of certain challenges. But I had to come here today to support this because I know that the people of Narok County will be able to get more money during this financial year. I know that the people of Elgeyo Marakwet, with my vote, will be able to get more money. The people of Embu, the people of Tharaka Nithi will be able to be given money. And so as the people who come to Nairobi to try and make a living will also be able to get additional revenue. So, Mr. Speaker, as I support this, I also want to make a few statements based on how we move forward. It is imperative, Mr. Speaker, that we now become cognizant of the danger that we are facing if we continue ignoring the plight of the Generation Z. Generation Z are speaking a language that most of us do not understand. Not because we do not want to understand, but because we choose not to understand. Because most of us have already lined our pockets. Most of us live in manicured mansions. Most of us drive huge cars. I'm sure there's no single senator here who does not drive a car which is less than $70,000 or maybe 10 million shillings. That's a fact. It becomes difficult sometimes for us to understand the problem that the Generation Z are facing. They're not sure of tomorrow. They're not sure of tomorrow. You know, yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I read somewhere, and I was trying to write to respond to it. But I said, you know what, I will drive down to Kajiado to go to Eldam at home of this senior distinguished gentleman called Atwoli. When he said that it's about time that we move the animals from the Nairobi National Park and move them to Masai Mara so that people can encroach into the national park. When I heard that, I was livid, Mr. Speaker. And I said to myself, good Lord, what has come of this old man? Is it that he does not see the danger caused by rural-urban migration during this time when we in the Senate are fighting to send more money to counties? And it dawned on me that everyone is looking at Nairobi as the only place to run to. So it's about time, Mr. Speaker, that we either engage and really amend the Constitution to empower the Senate more, to empower the counties more, so that we stop this rural-urban migration, or the national government takes a journey of building new cities where people can be going in. But the thought of turning the National Reserve, Nairobi National Park, into a concrete jungle is something we should not be even entertained. So, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, let me once again appreciate the work of Senator Ali Roba. I have known Ali Roba for quite some time, and I appreciate his diligence, his agility, and dedication to service. Being here, if I was to come here and fight to defeat this, it will not benefit him or me. The reality is that we have to understand the circumstances that we live in. I appreciate the work that you've done in sending 28 billion, additional 28 billion to counties. And I'm quite happy. And I hope that we can continue with this trajectory of making sure that we don't factor in what comes from the Brethren Institutes. If the day we say goodbye to IMF and World Bank is the day we'll begin developing as a nation. Our laws should be and shall be determined by our circumstances, but not other external circumstances that influence the way we make decisions in this country. That is critical. Because if we have to develop legislation, if we have to make laws based on what other jurisdictions or other governments think of, there's no way we'll ever be able to move out of these shackles. I was perplexed, Mr. Speaker, as I sit down, that today I had a young man, actually, there were about 3 of them who applied for visas to go to the United Kingdom. And the decision to award that, and this was through a government-funded program. So the government of Kenya was actually paying to train those people to be able to come back here and support this country. But a decision was made in Pretoria that even if the government is funding you to be able to go to the UK and study and come back and work here, the money that you have in your account is not sufficient to support you, even if that was being paid by the national government. And then they went further by saying, we have seen certain transactions in your bank statement that you've not been able to explain. So now foreign entities are turning themselves into the work of the Auditor General of this country. It is ridiculous. So, Mr. Speaker, as we divide our revenue, let us remain local. Let us encourage ONSO's revenue. Let us encourage county governments to develop other mechanisms of raising their ONSO's revenue. Number 2, when we now come up with our foreign policy, it is about time that we also remember that it's a give and take. You know? And this issue, I hope, and I had a conversation with the Foreign Affairs PS about this issue of these young Kenyans being denied visas, on the basis that there was some little 1,000, 5,000 in their account, and maybe they sold tomatoes, or maybe they sold a side hustle that they could not be able to explain. Yet the visa application, Mr. Speaker, did not say, tell us how you make your living. It was about how you're going to support your stay in the UK. So, Mr. Speaker, we must learn how to live within our means. That's number 1. We must be proud of our own work. And because I've seen the red light has gone on, let me end by saying, Ali Roba and your team, I salute you. and I will fully support the mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Next is Senator Sekirenku.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me also take this opportunity to contribute this motion on the equitable share to counties. Honorable Speaker, I want to support this motion and say that this is a great achievement to the mediation committee led by Honorable Senator Ali Roba. And I wanted to say that I think in the history of counties and of the Assisted Senate, to have increased over 28 billion to counties, I really want to echo this and believe that this money that is going to counties will be used